A lie that saved me. Relationships between the sexes were common at Bedales, and it was customary, at the end of each school day, for boys to escort their girlfriends to Steephurst, a building on the other side of the grounds from the school's campus and the boys' dormitories, known as Boys' Flat, as distinct from Girls' Flat in Steephurst. My girlfriend, at the end of my time in the upper sixth, was called Lolly. And every evening, after assembly, I would wait on the assembly hall steps and then walk Lolly across. It was the summer and warm. The evenings were long, and if there was no sign of the beady-eyed housemistress when we got to Girls' Flat, we'd abscond to the sandpit, which was really a quarry, in the fields behind. The events of the first weeks of our courtship exceeded my wildest hopes. When I kissed Lolly, I found she kissed me back eagerly. When I slipped my hand under her blouse, she did not shy away but made an appreciative noise and nuzzled my ear. And when, finally, I plucked up the courage to explore downwards, she did not demur. One June evening we sat in the twilight watching the bats flit by and sharing a woodbine. And Lolly described an occasion the previous summer in her local pub, she lived in Sussex, when she had been with a group of local lads she'd known since childhood. She'd had a lot to drink. When she woke up in a field some hours later, alone, all her clothes were scattered on the ground around her. Damp along her legs and back, but hot in the middle of her being, she realized what the boys had done. At first, though I felt appalled and shocked by Lolly's account of her erstwhile friend's behaviour, I did not understand why she told me this story. Or, rather, I wanted to believe it was a sign, but I didn't dare let myself believe Lolly meant what I hoped, which was that she was giving me permission. Then she alluded to the curious fact that, because there was a shortage of beds in Boys' Flat that term, I had been lodged in the village at the house of an asthmatic woman who had a passion for cats. I had a room of my own, didn't I? Yes, I said. Why don't we then, she said, and all was now very clear. I had no need to be inhibited by her virginity, because it was gone. Can you get what we need, she said. I will, I said. On my next free afternoon, I took a train to the nearest big town and eventually found a chemist that did not employ young women assistants. I was then able to make my purchase without embarrassment. That night at 2 a.m, I slipped from the asthmatic landlady's house, walked to the school, found Lolly waiting in the rhododendron bushes as agreed, and led her back across the fields. On the way, we met no one except a poacher who paid us no attention. He had other things to do with his traps. Negotiating the creaking stairs in the house where I lodged was tricky. Also, the asthmatic landlady's bedroom door was open that night and she lay asleep inside, propped up in the bed, wheezing mightily, surrounded by the cats, to which she was allergic, but which she refused to renounce. It was a heart-stopping moment getting past her bedroom door. In my room, I sat on the bed to unlace my Dr. Martens boots. When I looked up, Lolly was naked. Because of a combination of light and shadow, one of her breasts appeared larger than the other, and to my immense surprise I heard myself saying as much. I knew then we were headed for disaster. We got into bed and kissed. After a while, I slipped my hand under the pillow and felt around for the slim envelope with a Durex Gossamer condom inside that I had placed there in readiness. I couldn't find it. I realized the slippery foil square had gone, fallen down the back of the bed. I got down on the cold linoleum and, scrabbling around in the dust, set off a mousetrap before I found what I was looking for. By the time I got back to bed and had got the thing on the right way with the lubricant on the outside, as per the instructions, my heart was no longer in the business. We dressed, and I walked Lolly back through the pre-dawn lightning landscape, where nothing moved except a dying hare thrashing around in the poacher's noose. At Girls' Flat, Lolly kissed me passionately and made me promise I would put the creature out of its agony. I did this on my way back with a large stick that smelt of mushrooms. The creature squealed terribly as it died, its cry almost human. I arrived at school the next morning, groggy and tired, but also strangely anxious. I felt as if a cloud hovered over my head, discernible to all but me. Surely everyone in the school must know by now that I'd failed to manage the business. As I slunk into the common room, where I knew I would find Lolly, my anxiety increased when I saw she was talking to a group of girls. I considered turning round and walking out, but Lolly waved me forward. As I shuffled over, I noticed that her friends were looking at me with respect. This puzzled me until the girlish innuendos started. That was when I grasped that Lolly, whose friends were curious to know what had happened, had told a delicious little lie.